I'm having a great conversation here with Coach Tom Bass. Coach, welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here again.
Yeah, it's always good to speak with you and for you to share your thoughts of the game or any other question that or subject that I'm asking you. But today's subject is about the NFL games that are being or have been played and are
Right.
going to continue being played in London. Now, what feedback have you heard from people so far about the games that have been played?
Well, there are probably three or four different camps. Uh, Number one, the league office, I think, is just giggly over it because they think it's tremendous success, and it is obviously.
Yeah,
And the reception over there is great, and the I think the players on a one game basis accept it because they kind of enjoy it. Although when it comes in the middle of a trip, I mean, it's it's easier for East Coast teams.
yeah,
It's going to get harder when you're flying like the Cardinals or somebody over there
yeah,
to play. And then they have to get back and they have to get set up. And well, all about time changes better than us.
yeah, yeah,
But teams have trouble here. West Coast teams going to the East Coast and playing in the early game.
yeah,
The 1 o'clock game.
yeah.
I mean, because of the time difference. So, uh, but I'm not sure coaches are as happy about it. I think it disrupts. The one thing professional coaches hate is for anybody to disrupt their routine.
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah,
they think this thing is sacrosanct, and you can't. My God, you're asking us to move something 10 minutes. I mean, how in the world
yeah,
could?
yeah,
What'll we do?
yeah,
It'll all fall apart.
yeah,
But they'll get over it. If you had a team there now permanently, I don't know how they'd do it because if half your games are going to be played here in the states,
yeah,
boy, you're gonna be flying a lot, and
yeah,
that's practice time you're losing. Even if they bring you over like for a 3 game swing, I know when I first broke into the AFL, the American Football League in the 64, we'd go back and they would schedule us with Buffalo, New York, and Boston.
right.
Three, and so we'd stay on the road. Uh, and I think that was more of a financial thing
Yeah, yeah,
rather than flying both ways. But I don't know what the compensation would have to be for a team based in London because of their increased travel costs.
yeah. Because you have the issue of um, the team, the players living in London,
Right.
also. So,
That's quite costly, right?
well, that could be, there's always a way around that. But yeah, that will cost money. But just the travel alone, it means that, like you say, every game, uh,
Yeah.
they'll be doing so much travel in a season.
Yeah. And it's not that hard if you charter and everything, but it does get very expensive. I mean, let's
Yeah,
be honest about it.
yeah, yeah,
And that you're not going to want to put a team over there that's not going to succeed financially.
yeah,
I mean, that would be the worst thing in the world.
yeah.
Um, how do you think uh, the people from the UK would accept the team where they have to buy season tickets, uh, for 4 preseason games and or 2 preseason games and 8 regular season games. I would think it would get quite costly.
It would get costly. I know that there are lots of people who would do it, and because mainland Europe, as you know, it's not that big a journey. Any
Yeah,
fans,
right from France or Germany or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
they'll be happy to pick that up, and I'm sure they'd be able to fill the stadium all the time. You start to wonder about if a franchise isn't winning. Now, of course, everybody will come to see the opposing team. There are losing teams that I know in the US that people don't really who live in that city don't really go watch the team. But if a big team, the Seahawks or another winning franchise come in, they're happy to go watch that game.
sure. Yeah. The thing that saves it kind of here is because even the bad teams have natural rivals.
Yeah.
That people hate one another.
Yes.
So they'll go see it if it's a real bad team just to see them get beat up.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And that takes years to develop. Where guys are that way, but
Yeah.
it's like the Chargers and the Raiders. I
Yes.
mean, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing that is an issue as well is the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. The team.
Oh, and the Thursday night game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how could that be? How can that work? Is it possible?
Well, I don't know because I don't think the people in the UK would want a game on Thursday night, would they?
It would be late for it to be the time that you have your regular games, the Sunday night games and Monday, Thursday
Yeah.
night that are scheduled in the US. That would be the early hours here in the morning.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. With the time thing, it would, and the television, of course, which kind of runs everything.
yeah,
That's going to be the other draw because right now I think the games come on here at 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday when they're playing over in the UK.
yeah,
I think that's when they come on.
okay, yeah. It makes you, those things, jet lag, travel costs, logistics of timing. It makes you think about the NFL Europe and does the league need to have a development program or league again?
That didn't work, and I think it didn't work because it really didn't encompass European players.
Right.
I mean, so if you're going to have a developmental league, I mean, if clubs are going to pay the money to have a minor league,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you have it here?
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
the scouts can go see it every weekend, and
Yeah.
why would you fly the players to Europe? I mean, other than selling jerseys and all that crap,
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. What was the last league? Was it the UFL? Was the last development league?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How long did that last? Was that two or three seasons?
It lasted until the NFL decided to shut it down, and because what happened was the UFL was signing some pretty good quarterbacks, Doug Williams and Steve Young and all these guys, and the NFL I got a little worried, so they said that's enough.
The USFL, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was huge because they had I remember Reggie White was there as well, Sam Mills.
Yeah. Yeah, they had some good players.
Yeah. Yeah. Do, do you think the league does need? I mean, not in Europe, but in the US, it needs a development league because if you look, um, the baseball has the minor leagues, the NBA have the D League.
There are a number of minor leagues here.
Right.
They just don't get any publicity, and of course, there have been a lot of players that have matriculated from the Arena League, to NFL teams,
Right.
especially skilled players.
Yeah.
So there's a way. I think the more intelligent way would be to sink a little bit more money into the practice squad players, maybe up that to 15 or so. So you had in-house guys that were getting coached by your coaches,
Yeah.
that were attending meetings, that were doing everything. So if you needed to bring somebody up, they'd be right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make more sense to me, but
Yeah.
then you're looking at costs again, and
Yeah.
money drives everything.
Yeah. Is there a possibility of that happening if the league extends the amount of regular season games that take place?
Yeah, I would think so because there's too many guys getting hurt as it is right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they make all these rules to protect the players, but I don't see it happening very much.
Yeah.
I think the guys are, when you start limiting practice time, you keep the body fresh, but you certainly don't develop technique and you don't develop the mental part of the game.
Right.
And that's what the NFL's done. That's what the NC2A has done. And it's showing up now. I mean,
Yeah.
You watch American football, college football, and I don't know. If you said to me, which team should I watch to see good defense, I wouldn't know where to tell you to go.
Right.
I mean, if you hold them under 50, you had a hell of a night.
Yeah. 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 And is that because the players aren't getting that contact time, so technique isn't as good?
Yeah, they limit the off-season practice. They limit the number of days they can be in pads. They limit the number of hours they can work contact work. I mean, football's a contact sport. My God, you better practice it. And guys get hurt all the time, and I think when you try to legislate or rule a game, to change the nature of a game by passing rules, you take something away from the game, and the result may not be what you anticipated.
Yeah. What's the way forward?
I think the way forward is to, get back to teaching good technique and, give back some of the off-season practice time where guys can go out and work with a coach and, on an individual basis and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's got to get back to, because, you can harness the contact, but you shouldn't harness the coaching, the individual coaching, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And speaking of college, this is the first year with the Division I college playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
and you laugh. Was this too long in coming, or is it? Do you think this?
Oh, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to agree on the 4 teams. I mean,
right.
They're going to, at the end, they're going to have just, everybody can agree as long as their team's undefeated.
Right.
Like right now, every poll has Mississippi State and Florida State because they haven't lost a game.
Yeah.
Okay, but then the other two, it starts flying all over the place,
Yeah.
the networks, of course, want Notre Dame in there,
Yeah.
and and they say they're going to weigh the schedule. Well, Notre Dame doesn't play anybody, hardly at all. So
Right.
if you go on that, they would never get in.
Yeah.
But that almighty TV dollar may mean a lot.
Yeah. So will it just be the same problem that was there originally?
Oh yeah, yeah. Guys will hate it. People will hate it. They'll hate the committee. They'll.
And even though the committee members will keep changing over the years.
Yeah, it won't make any difference.
Yeah.
They'll hate last year's committee and worry about this year's. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems to me what's ironic, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but Division One AA,
Yeah.
the smaller schools,
Yes.
they have a playoff system.
Yeah. So why has it worked for them? Is it because they've always had it?
Yeah, it's because they've always had it, and it's because they're willing to, play games longer in the season and make them count. Have playoff games, and then they have a championship game, and everybody's happy. I mean, but the thing that stops that from happening here is the bowl system, which is pretty well entrenched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because none of the bowls want to give up their power.
No. So,
or their money.
Yeah. So there's no real way around that.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be a mess for a long time.
Wow.
Do you think there's to get back to our original discussion, do you think that there is a big uprising in London to have a football team?
I would say there are two groups that are one that would just love it and think, yes, this is great. We have a team here guaranteed 8 games a season, and then there's another group that would probably think, we understand the issues with the logistics and the traveling, so let's see how it falls. Let's see how it plays out. If I've got it right, I heard mention, and I haven't looked at this, I've heard mention of 4 games being played next year. So,
but that when they say that only involves 8 teams.
Yeah. That
doesn't involve one team being sequestered in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a big. I mean, my stay in London, my lengthy stays in London, have been confined to the Dorchester and St. Mary's Hospital.
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm not a real good expert on.
Yeah. Not the best. Yeah. But it also makes me think of practice facilities.
Oh yeah.
Those things are important, and not only the accommodation, but where do the teams practice? Where is it in relation to where the accommodation is? Once you start to break it down, it's huge. And
oh yeah, because an NFL team is going to, everything's fine and dandy as long as they're going in and playing one game. But when you started talking about putting a team there, then they're going to start talking about, okay, we want so many acres for our, practice facility. We want, one artificial field and 2 grass fields, and
that's right.
I mean, that's when the guns will come out and the real costs will start.
Yeah.
Because have you been at an NFL facility, right?
Have I been to an NFL facility?
Huh?
Not sure. Can't remember. Been to college, been some big college facilities. Oh, if you're thinking stadiums, yes. Sorry, I've been to the Seahawks stadium, but that was the old
Yeah.
Kingdom.
Yeah, but the practice facilities are huge. I mean,
Yeah,
they have huge weight rooms. They have the medical facilities, swimming pools,
yeah,
all this stuff, and it's costly to build one. It's costly to maintain one,
yeah.
and I don't think land is cheap over there, is it?
No, you'd have to move. You wouldn't be able to do that in central London. You have to be on the outskirts,
Yeah.
and then you also start looking at uh, things like catering,
Oh yeah.
and those home comforts, because you have the U.S. air bases here, and many years ago when the youth team I was coaching, we played a couple of games at the air bases. You go across that fence, and it's like being in the U.S. because of the facilities and everything that's available. So
Yeah.
it would have to be something like that to make sure that players are happy and comfortable with where they are.
Oh yeah. And in all of this, I worry about the players more than anybody. I think they're going to be exhausted if they ever have to do one of those play Sunday, play Thursday things. It's going to kill them.
Yep.
I mean, so I would like to see it, but I just don't know if it's going to be good for everybody. And the worst thing I think they could do is to put a team in there that isn't very successful.
Right.
And the history of the NFL with expansion teams, I've been through two of them, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
Yep.
from the very inception. And the NFL didn't give away anything
Yeah. Yeah.
for those teams to be successful.
Yeah.
They gave us the worst players nobody wanted, and they said, okay, develop them,
Yeah.
and
Who are the
you had to get rid of all those guys and just, count on the draft and
yeah.
good free agency and get some of your own people in there.
Yeah. Well, I know the Jags are signed up for to play 3 games, so that's the second one that they'll be playing this weekend against the Cowboys. The Originally, if I'm correct, I think it was the Rams that were signed up to do it, but that breached their contract with the city of St. Louis.
Yeah.
So they had to pull out from that. So it'd be interesting what goes on with teams in the future, and who's going to come and play here, and also the franchises that could possibly move, because I know there are some teams that aren't doing well where they are, and they could be the teams to move. I mean,
Yeah, but you're sitting here with a big white elephant, Los Angeles, that doesn't have a team.
yeah.
I would think if I were an owner, I'd rather move to L.A. than London.
And do you think LA is after having 2 teams and having now having none, are they ready to have a team?
Well, Anthony, you've got to be realistic. There are millions of people in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get 100,000 to come to the football game.
Yeah. Yeah. Why didn't it work last time with the
Well,
the
because
Raiders?
the Raiders were running back and forth, and people didn't want to go to their games because people were getting shot and beat up.
Okay.
And then the Rams were in Anaheim. They were down in Disneyland,
Okay. So people
So
would rather go to Disneyland than a Rams game.
Yeah, if we're going down that far, let's go to Disneyland.
Oh wow. Well, the Jags. I know there's. I've seen some highlights of some Jags games, and
They're playing better.
okay. This
Yeah, I
this
mean, but still, it's. Are they playing good enough that people would pay for 10 games
yeah.
at a? I don't know. What's a ticket cost over there to go to Wembley?
We went to a couple of games. We haven't been to the recent ones. We're waiting for my son to get a little bit older, but they were I think £70 per ticket at the time. Not
And what does a soccer team cost? Game cost?
Oh, it depends sometimes on what uh,
If
game they're
I
playing
wanted to go see Arsenal and Manchester United, what would the ticket be?
in. You may not be able to get a ticket. That's a big game. That's like the Patriots and the Niners playing. That
Okay,
that
so you're not going to get a ticket to that game.
no, but that's a big price ticket, and you could pay. I'm throwing it out there. Anything from £70 plus. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know. So
But are people well off enough to do that 8 times and two for preseason?
I think people would. I
Okay.
think you would, and again, going back to the amount of people in mainland Europe, and interestingly enough, the amount of people that travel across from the US as well to watch their
Yeah.
team play.
Now, what about the fact that it's being played during soccer season?
That would be interesting as the season goes along, but the soccer season lasts for longer.
Just started, right?
Yeah, and it lasts for such a long time that people would be willing to, 8 NFL games. Hey, let's go see them. There's only 8 being played, whereas the soccer games, it's on from, I think the season started in August and that runs all the way through to to May. There are people, the soccer fans, probably listening to this
Yeah.
thinking I've got it wrong, but May or June. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
I think we'll see. Um, each game has had good numbers, and if that continues, I think we'll see an increase of the games, and then the conversation. We'll hear more about a franchise moving here.
And I think I, I think the more people in the UK understand the game, the more they would be willing to support it.
Yeah,
I think education is going to be a big part of whatever team goes in there because um, I think that's it. Just it's like the first time I went to a cricket game. Uh,
yeah.
when tea time came, I thought the damn thing was over. Guy next to me told me, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
yeah.
no,
No, seventh inning stretch.
no.
Stand up
So
song, hot dogs, bathroom break. No, this serious tea time.
yeah, so I think you need to get a little, have a educational program, that's supported by the sports world of the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how is there a football league going now?
The league's still going.
Okay,
I haven't been around it to know how strong it is. I know there have been some players, and I don't know if they've done it independently or if they've gone over as young people
Yeah.
through high
Mhm.
school. But there's one young man on the Raiders. I think there was somebody else on. I want to say that the Titans some years ago, but I could be wrong. So the possibility of growth is here, but we need, and somebody's thinking, whoa, there is good coaching, but we need the good coaching here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that you need that everywhere.
yeah.
I mean, that's
And once,
that's the key.
yeah, and once you have that solid coaching in place, and people, coaches that are good, working with children, especially, so that they give them not only the knowledge of the game, but the good spirit and the energy that's required, the confidence building methods and things like that. With any sport, it can work, and that's what we really need. Not just people who like the game and enjoy watching it and say, I want to
Right.
have a go at this. No, you've got to be a good teacher and a good person to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm aware that's something in the U.S. that is also what will I say, under the microscope as well.
Right.
That you've got to have the good grassroots coaching.
Well, it's not because they're not eager. It's just that you've got to you got to. Well, it's like any profession. I mean, you're not going to tell a guy, okay, you're a carpenter, and not give him the tools to do it.
That's
So
right.
it's the same thing being a football coach. You just don't become a football coach. You've got to have the tools and understand the game enough to be able to teach it, and then know how to teach. I mean, that's Paul Brown always said that if a coach isn't a good teacher, he's not a good coach,
Right.
and I believe that. I really do. I think
Yeah.
you've got to be able to convey to the player what they want, and make sure you're not confusing them with what you say.
Yeah. With all the coaching trees that have existed, and the coaching tree that you've come from, is that message still being passed on? Is it still being handed down?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I was very fortunate because I worked with four head coaches. Sid Gilman,
Yep.
when I first started with the Chargers in the '60s, and Paul Brown, uh, and then Don McKay, and then back with Don Coryell, who I'd coached with in college.
Yeah.
So with those four people, they all. Paul was probably the most intellectual of the group, as far as meticulously recording things and looking for separate things in each of his coaches.
Yeah.
One of the big mistakes that a lot of coaches make over here is, when they get a head coaching job, they make a staff up of people that are just like them,
Right.
and there's no input from other sources or other ideas,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you see those guys start failing very quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
because they can't recruit because they're all recruiting the same way.
Right.
It takes so different to reach players, different approaches, and
Yeah.
if you don't have that diversity on your staff, then you really lose out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's evident in the teams that are successful.
Yeah.
You look
Yep.
on their sideline, and you look at the coaching staff, and you think, oh, okay, I wouldn't have
Yeah.
seen him working with that person, but
Right.
that skill's recognized that you're talking about.
Yep. And it makes a difference. I mean, the the interaction on a coaching staff is so damn important, and the coaches that get head jobs and don't realize that you've got to be pretty careful and know why you're hiring guys other than he knows the position.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because knowing the position doesn't mean that you're a good teacher.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the best coaches I've had and worked with, and some of the worst coaches I've had and worked with are former players.
Right. Okay. And is that because they understand?
Well, it's because the guys who go on to become teachers realize that what they learned was a small part of the total game.
Right.
And the other guys think that what they learned is the answer to everything,
Yeah.
And it's hard to work with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's a huge pressure now to win.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't even sometimes. I think this. How many coaching changes were there for the off season just gone? That was huge.
Well, I don't know. It's ridiculous. I mean, sometimes I think the owners want to be the first guy to fire somebody so they can get their name in the paper.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I look at the pressure and I think sometimes I think, wow, to be
Yeah.
a head coach, that's tough.
Well,
You need to win now.
yeah.
Take somebody else's team, somebody else's roster. Bring
And it's the same for the assistants. They
Yeah.
know that the head coach is gone. They're gone probably.
Yeah, yeah. And then I look at the organizations where the head coaches have been around for a lengthy amount of time, and they've ridden that wave. They've had some highs, had some lows, but they've been consistent and they've
Right.
been able to have
And
success.
that's what you want. The player. When you have continuity on your coaching staff, there's a comfort level the players feel in going to the practice, going to the facility.
Yeah.
And that's what you're after. You want them to know that this is some place they can come where they're going to learn and they're going to be treated properly.
Yeah.
And they're going to be with friends
That's
who
right.
care about them.
Yeah.
And that's, I used to tell my assistants, if the players don't think you care about them, they're not going to care about our team.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that should filter down and be what can we say, a mantra at all levels of coaching.
I think so. I really do.
Coach, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
It's always good to talk to you, Anthony. I enjoy it very much.
Yeah, it's.
I enjoyed my time in the UK, even the 3 months in St. Mary's Hospital.
Man, that's they looked after you, obviously.
They were gracious, and I had a lot of football coaches come up and talk to me and bring me some delicious chocolate. I enjoyed that part.
Brilliant, Coach. And just going by to finish off the season so far, which team looks the strongest, or two teams? I'm not going to say a Super Bowl winner, but who's looking the strongest?
Well, and this may surprise you, but I think New England is.
All
I
right.
think they're developing at the right time.
Yeah.
And I think that Bill's going to have those guys, the defense especially, integrated in a way that they can really perform. So
Yeah.
that's a team I'm going to keep my eye on, and just see what happens with it. I mean, Denver, I worry about a little bit. If they get in big games, I don't know if they really have all the tools they need to win. But
Okay.
they're probably the best in the AFC
Yeah.
West.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it'll be fun. A lot of time to go yet.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And lots of upsets to happen.
Yep.
And that ball bounces, as they say, that ball bounces in mysterious ways.
Yes, it does. It never bounces up.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the call, and I've always enjoyed my time in the UK, as you know, and from going over there with